We did this survivors and thrivers list this year for the first time. We were thinking during the pandemic that even though so many small businesses and so many people are struggling right now, there's also some businesses that are continuing to do well. Either they are sort of in the right place at the right time with things that are really desperately needed during COVID, or they figured out how to pivot and do something different in order to survive and do well during a very difficult period. And that telling the stories of these people would be really instructive and interesting. We defined it as small companies broadly. So we thought about companies that had less than 50 million in revenue last year and less than 200 employees today. These were companies that ranged from small companies with just maybe one or two people, maybe $1 million in sales, up to companies that were venture-backed companies that maybe had 50 million in sales this year and 180 employees. So they really ran the gamut, and we wanted to get a good range of businesses. So one of the companies that we found on the list, which was interesting, was this company called Mint House, and it's an extended stay hotel. And you would think during COVID, an extended stay hotel is going to be a really difficult business, but they figured out how to pivot, and they started marketing to traveling doctors and to college students who needed places to live. And so their occupancy rate went way up, and they were actually able to expand. Hunt-A-Killer is a really fun business that probably would do well enough without COVID, given how interested people are in murder mysteries. It's a murder mystery game that arrives at your door by subscription. But during COVID, with people at home, it's kind of gone wild. Anything that people can get at home is doing very well. Amp Robotics. It does robotics for recycling facilities. There's more stuff being recycled because Amazon is shipping boxes out to everyone. So there's just cardboard boxes all over the place. And who wants to work at a recycling facility during COVID? The risks are going to be very high. You don't know where that stuff is coming from, or has it been touched by somebody with COVID? You just don't know. They've been doing really well as they've been selling these robots to handle the increased amount of recycling and handle the difficulty hiring people to work at recycling facilities at a very difficult time. I was surprised at the diversity of businesses that were doing well. We saw businesses in food, in robotics, in technology, in hotels, in restaurant supply, in flowers, even in media. No matter what business you're in, what's happened with COVID impacts you. In either, if you're a restaurant, or you're a hotel, or you're one of those businesses that's been shut down, you're really, really struggling. But even if you're a business that's in a very good position, you're still struggling. You're still trying to figure out, okay, well, how do you configure your business to work? And even if your business is doing really well, I talked to one business that they do cleaning robots, and they're doing really well. But the founder had personal losses due to COVID. And another founder I talked to had a number of people on staff who've had losses or been ill due to COVID. And so even when their businesses are doing well, they're dealing with the human cost while also trying to manage the business. I think one of the things that we learned is that despite how difficult it's been for the majority of companies, there are companies that have managed to succeed, and entrepreneurs who figured out how to grow despite COVID. And I think seeing some of these different stories can give a little bit of hope to people.